All right, sounds good. So welcome everyone. Thanks for tuning in. My name is Ankur. I'm a solutions consultant at Vidyard, and I'll let Joel introduce himself.
Hey, I am Joel. I am also a solutions consultant at Vidyard, recently lead solutions consultant at Vidyard. And yeah, excited today I was on the webinar. For those of you who were attending the webinar, you can of course watch on YouTube. And we did cover stuff really at a high level in there. So today we're really excited to dig in and answer a lot more of those nitty-gritty questions of how people can actually, start to make some stuff, where it makes sense to start making things, and the tools and kind of, we want you to leave here being able to actually go out and do this and see what works for you. So yeah, I'm super excited for everybody to join us.
All right, thanks, Joel. So to kick things off, just a few housekeeping items for our call today. So first of all, of course, be active in the chat. I think we're already doing a good job being active. Let everyone know where you're tuning in from. And you can also post questions in the chat. So we'll try to answer them as we go along. But at the end, if there's something that's left unanswered, we can tackle that at the end during the Q&A. And last but not the least, let's get those creative juices flowing. I want you guys to think any existing pain points in your customer journey cycles or in the pre-sales journey at your organizations, where the pain points are and how you can potentially solve that through video. So we'll share some tidbits throughout the presentation. And yeah, let's do this. I'm excited. All right, so here's a quick look at the agenda. So we'll kick things off by talking about why pre-sales should even care about video. And then we'll talk about getting started with asynchronous video, how you can leverage that from a setup perspective, tools that we can share with you guys to get started with, as well as any use cases that Joel and I currently leverage in our role. And maybe you guys can benefit that from our experience and go from there. So let's run a poll to get things kicked off. So let's answer which option best describes your current role. So if you guys can quickly answer that question so we can get an idea who's currently attending our session today. All right, I see we don't have any sales folks on the call. It's primarily pre-sales engineers. Cool.
Okay, that's exciting. Yeah, a lot of individual contributors who, so we can't talk about our managers today because there are some managers here, but we can definitely talk about sales folks because there's none of them. So we're good to go with that. So what we kind of wanted to dive into first was just around, why we should care. What's the point of using video? So when we talk about video, what we're specifically talking about is asynchronous video. So the creation of a piece of video that someone can watch at a later time. So we're definitely not talking about Zoom or anything like that. And there's a couple different kinds of that. So we'll touch on, those different kinds as we go through, but whether that's creating, a micro demo, there's recorded demos, things of that nature, or whether it's just communicating as we would more on a live Zoom call through video. We obviously see a lot of this being kind of on the front lines of talking to all these people who are trying to solve these problems today. And what we're really seeing is it's really hard to get in front of people. And so booking meetings, it's great to be able to get on and actually talk to those people when we can't be there in person. But the second best thing to that is going to be able to create some content which people can watch at their leisure. When they're ready, go back and watch it again, share it around, and really just be able to do that direct communication that's become so hard. And people love watching videos, right? Like, it's a good thing I have unlimited bandwidth in this house, because the number of videos that my kids watch would bankrupt me if I wasn't on unlimited. And it's just the way everyone's going. We're on our phones constantly watching video. We're on this, we're on that. And it's because it takes us back to the way that we really want to communicate, right? We're really good. And for all of us specifically, like, the reason we got into this, I think a lot of the point is we like to talk, We like to be in front of people. And so sitting there and writing out emails or writing out knowledge-based articles is not necessarily what we have a passion for. And so being able to use video to communicate that passion is great for us. It's also great for our buyers. This is what buyers want. You know, we've run a lot of, or been involved in a lot of different studies. Buyers want that. They want to be able to buy on their own time. They want to be able to sit and think about things. And video gives us a great way to create that content. It also gives us a great way to be able to do that in a fashion that is scalable, because none of us have that much time. So we can only spend a limited amount of time in a one-to-one meeting with someone. But if we can create a piece of content that we can use over and over and over again and use it to enable our AEs to send that content out and not have to have us be on every one of those calls, then we obviously have that ability to use our time most effectively on the times that it's really going to count the most. And so that's where video, and specifically asynchronous video, can be so helpful for us in our roles, is being able to do that communication very clearly, but have people be able to consume it as they want, share it around, and then also not have us having to spend all that time doing it. So it's kind of the broad overview of why we think video can be so powerful, specifically for our roles as SEs.
We already have a question from Jason. Great question, Jason. So Jason's asking if you can share some thoughts on short form versus long form videos. For example, watching a webinar recording of more than 30 minutes can obviously be challenging, which I can personally relate to. My attention span doesn't last more than 10 minutes, but short, sharp clips are more attractive. And I 100% agree. So we'll share some tidbits on how we currently leverage videos, especially market demos, as well as how you can leverage content with your AEs to do prep calls before any of the demos that you do with your clients, as well as cross-functional communication as well. So thank you for asking that question. All right, so we have another poll for you guys. I want to understand if you guys currently leverage any asynchronous communication, particularly video, in your current role. Love to hear your thoughts.
Well, this poll is exciting. It's going like up and down as I'm watching it. So
almost a 50-50 split.
Oh, it's like going back and forth. It's a nail biter. Nail biter.
And I can personally relate to it. This is my second role as an SC, and I never leveraged any video content in my previous role. And now that I'm leveraging it in my existing role, working for a video company, it's a day and night difference, the engagement that you get from everyone involved. And Thomas has another question. Can we also talk about engagement? I know a lot of us watching content, any ideas on how to get people to focus? So again, the focus should be on creating these short snippets of content they can share with the customers. For example, a solution recap after a demo, which we'll talk about in depth during our demo as well today. See, I'm so used to saying demo, I just said it's during our demo today when there's a workshop. And we'll also talk about some of the other pieces of content that you can create. All right, perfect. So let's talk about getting started with a video first. So how can you get started? I think a lot of people expect to have a setup like this to create content, which would be nice to have. I know Joel wants to have a green screen in his home office so he can play some Star Wars memorabilia in the background. But again, we don't all have the access or the privilege to have a setup like this. All you need to get started in pre-sales to create content is a simple setup. Even if you just have your laptop with a webcam, you are able to create pieces of content. There are lots of free tools out there right now, which you can create. You can just create video using iMovie as well as any webcam tools that you have, or you can actually leverage some of the other free tools that we'll discuss during our workshop today. So as long as you have a webcam, no matter external or a built-in webcam, you should be able to leverage video in any form of communication. And some of the things to consider when you are setting up your setup for the video. First of all, use the best available lighting. So I don't know if you guys can notice, I'm actually sitting right across from a window, and Joel can probably share his feedback. Prior to this, I had my desk facing a wall, and the light was coming from my left side. And I could tell right away that it wasn't working as expected. And my face wasn't as clear. It seemed really, really dark. It seemed like I was in a room where there wasn't enough lighting. And since I've made this switch facing natural lighting, it has been literally a day and night difference. People can see me clearly. I seem more confident on the calls as well, because your posture is a lot better. And when you look at yourself on the call, you seem a lot more confident, which you want to showcase when you're creating any video. So someone mentioned, I feel like there's too much light in my room, in my office, 3 bright windows. Can you have too much light? Absolutely. So if you have too much light coming in from the sides, you can have too much white light on your face. So in that case, what you want to do is maybe have some blinds, as well as cover the additional resources of lights. And you only want light coming from the sides or the front. You don't want too many sources. And next tidbit I want to cover is, again, sound. So sound and video go hand in hand. So try to record your videos in a quiet space, or if you think you have too many kids running around, which can be the case in the pandemic with people working from home, you can also use headphones with a microphone. And last but not the least, you want to keep the video content real and keep it organic. Initially, when I started working at Vidyard, I got into a habit of recording the video over and over because I want the video to be perfect. And you'll be surprised by people actually are less keen to reply back to you if the video is too good, if the production quality is too high, because they seem like they are getting overwhelmed. So when you keep it real, when you keep it organic, you are actually making that human connection. They see a human on the other side of the screen, and they're more likely to actually respond back to you. And I'm sure Joel has some insights to share on this particular piece.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've all been there, right? Where you go to a website and you're watching someone's piece of marketing content about their product. It's a product, supposed to be a product video, and you watch the whole thing and you're like, I don't know what the heck that product actually did. And you go to YouTube and you watch some guy who's just like walking through it, and it's not great quality and it's whatever, but it's so much more valuable. And it's also so much more real, right? I think like the thing is, we are generally, in the eyes of our prospects, the subject matter expert. And so if we're on a live demo, we're going to mess up, we're going to fix it. That's okay. Asynchronous video can be the same, right? We need to be a little human. We don't want to be, there's definitely a time and a place to put music in, make it a little more exciting, things of that nature. But you also really want to keep that personal connection. And I feel like the more you worry about the production value of the video you're making, one, you're going to make less content. Two, and this is something I had mentioned in last week's webinar, you're really not going to know what works until you try it. Like, there's no silver bullet for this that says if you make this kind of video, it's going to work great, all your problems are going to go away. You really have to try it. And so it's a numbers game. It's make all these kinds of videos and see what sticks. And to the point that's coming up in the chat about recording stuff 1,000 times, or like Ankur said, you can't get that much content if it's going to take that long. Like, try some stuff. If it works really well, there's nothing wrong with going back and re-recording it later when you realize I could have done it better, or I sent it to this person and they actually realized they didn't cover this piece. Like, you're going to make multiple versions of these as you go forward. And so you want it to be, I think the reason we say good lighting and good sound, obviously you want it to be completely understandable. We don't want it to be garbled and people can't understand what we're saying. We want to look professional, but we also want to look real. And I think this is the point. The point is that we are these real people. We are these subject matter experts. And we want people to feel that they can come and ask us these questions, not be some, marketing actor on a video. We want them to feel totally free to call us out on stuff that we say, have a conversation with it. And so overproducing can almost be a little of a problem in that case.
Awesome. So we have one more poll for you guys. Want to understand, what's your current setup like? Are you guys using a built-in webcam, or are you guys using an external webcam for your day-to-day needs? I'm currently using my MacBook's internal built-in webcam, and since I switched my desk facing the window, I feel like I can just live with this now. Because prior to this, as I mentioned, I was keen on buying an external webcam just to improve the video quality, but now I feel lighting has made a huge impact, even with the 720p camera that I have on my MacBook.
Yeah, when Ankur came on the first call with me after he moved, I literally said to him, "Did you get a new camera?" Because it was so crisp. Like the built-in, MacBook cameras can definitely be a little rough in the darker spaces, but that real natural light, like I literally thought he'd gone out and bought like a fancy Logitech 1080p something. So it goes a long way, and you don't necessarily have to buy new equipment to do it.
Perfect. Seems like another 50-50 split.
Another 50-50.
Some folks have built-in cams and some folks have external. Again, it doesn't matter which one you're using, as long as you have a webcam and you have good lighting and you are, again. And I think one more thing I want to highlight is, again, trying to face the camera when you're creating content, which can be quite challenging. So keep it natural. I wouldn't even follow a script. Have some talking points when you're making some content. Don't try to read off the screen, because that, again, highlights, you can pick on it right away. When someone is reading off a script, you're not talking naturally, you're too focused on reading the content. So if you think you need a couple of dry runs to practice your pitch, you can do that. Joel and I actually do it all the time. We have gotten to a point where we're more comfortable just doing spontaneous video clips now, and we have gotten really, really good at that. It just takes practice. So Blanca says, but does it look weird when you're looking at the camera straight? You'd be surprised. I thought the same. And you actually look better when you're looking at the camera because you maintain that direct eye contact and it just seems better. For example, if I look at my other monitor right now, you can probably tell this looks more weird talking to you versus when I'm just looking at the camera and I'm talking to you directly. Again, you want to make that personable connection when you're talking to someone and you're highlighting any of those technical pieces in the content that you are sharing with the viewers.
Yeah, I've actually seen some tricks around that. They actually make a piece made out of plexiglass. So you can actually mount your camera in front of your screen so that you're still looking at that content, but you're looking more. I've seen the trick, you may have seen it on LinkedIn from one of the body language experts, about putting like a little smiley face right above your camera, just to remind you to keep looking at it. Even if you do look, you look around. I'm a talker that talks like this and I go every which way and pace back and forth. But just remembering, like that's where the people are. And if I was on Zoom, I would be seeing them and talking more to them, can go a long way for that. And we'll also look at some tricks where you can keep it personal by still having a video, but the video may not be, the full screen. So you can do a little mix of kind of that screen demo, but also have the personal feel brought in as well.
All right, so now let's talk about the actual tools you can leverage to create your first video if you haven't started yet. So shameless plug, Jill and I both work for a video company. We do have a free tool they can leverage. There are lots of other options out there as well. If you already are using an existing tool, I wouldn't even switch. But for those looking to try out a new tool, our Vidyard tool works perfectly fine. We have 3 options built in within the Chrome extension, and there are some other integrations as well. But I think the Chrome extension is a perfect new place to start. So we have the screen plus camera recording option that would be perfect when you are doing a solution recap, or perhaps you're creating a micro demo. So again, you want to create that personal connection. We can have like a flying bubble with your face in the corner. You can move that around, and I'm sure you guys will play around with it after the call. Or if you're creating more of a product overview video, you can just do the screen recording. In that case, if that's going to be shared with multiple people, then maybe you don't need that your face on that video. So you can leverage that option. Or if you're just doing some asynchronous communication internally with your team members, you can do the camera option as well. So highly, highly recommend play around with it after this call, and we'd love to hear you guys feedback. And we do have some options to give you a pro license as well. We'll share the details at the end of this call today. So now I think this is probably going to be the most interesting piece of today's workshop, the use cases. So let's get started. So the first piece we have is called micro demos. So I'll let Joel maybe touch on this, then I can add my feedback at the end.
Yeah, so I think the micro demo is very much of what we as SCs think about, what probably a lot of us are already creating today. It's very much the demo, but in a video. What you have the ability to do when you're creating these short snippets, again, talking about time, we are not talking about long pieces of content. People have incredibly short attention spans. We are talking about, ours are generally in the range of 3 minutes long. That doesn't mean that you can't send multiple to someone, right? In Vidyard, we have this idea around playlists where you can string multiple videos together. That's certainly possible in lots of different tools. What that lets you do is, one, it's a lot easier to make when they're short. The shorter you go, the less likely you are to mess up. Helps keep that attention span for sure. And you can really get more customized. So when it comes to making micro demos, there's definitely a couple different styles you can make. You could base those on personas and make demos for individual personas. You can make them based on a particular feature. You can make them based on more of a broad use case. So for us, we sell a lot to sales teams. We also sell a lot to marketing teams. So we've created kind of a walkthrough of the same product, but how one team would use it versus the other. And then obviously we're able to go in and make one more for, a demand gen person. How would they look and how would this person look? So you really have a lot that you can really create there. That's one of those ones where you really just have to see how it goes. I would definitely recommend that you keep them short and sweet. You probably won't be happy with this first version, but get something out, see how it resonates with people, see how it helps fend off some of those questions. These can be incredibly helpful for allowing your AEs to maybe buy some more time before a call, right? So you may have an AE that's great at demoing. I have some AEs that are great at demoing. I have some that I can't stand to sit through them demoing because I would much rather be demoing. But there is this idea, right, that you can only push so far without someone wanting to actually see something concrete. They're not going to want to sit there on a discovery call after discovery call after discovery call. And so giving them something, again, that's not that piece of marketing content, that's very much more you walking through how you would on a call for them and giving them a taste of what's there and allowing the AEs then to kind of self-serve from that. So whether you actually fully self-serve that to them, and there's a page they can go and grab the videos they need to grab and send them over. Or even if they're still interacting with you, you're having a bit of a conversation with the AE, and then you're saying, I think you should send them this one, this one, this one. It can buy a lot more time if you want them to then do a discovery and then give time for you to do a discovery, or maybe a little more of a disco demo or whatever that is. You can stretch out that process, buy yourself a little more time before you have to jump into that whole demo. And that can be very powerful. Obviously, there's also people who can't make calls, things like that. And having these to send out, you can send over the full demo recording to someone if they missed the call. But again, most people, unless they're highly engaged, are not going to want to sit through a 60-minute video recording, even like they would on a Zoom call. And so short and sweet and to the point, but being able to really highly target those is really where the recorded micro demos can become so powerful.
Yeah, it's perfect. Just to add on to the micro demo part, I think I've personally been leveraging them a lot. I have created my own repository of videos, particularly for Vidyard, where I can just share them with my reps. It saves me a lot of time. I don't need to hop on a call, explain the same feature or the use case over and over. They have had a lot of success just sharing that content with multiple prospects, and they're able to get what they need to get out of that content. So that's a perfect segue into our next type of content that you can create as an SE. So that would be a technical deep dive video. So I'm sure many of the people on the call have been in a situation where you are talking about a particular feature or the product on the call, and next thing you know, you have been taken on a ride by the customers asking you questions that you didn't expect, and you missed out on some of the features that you wanted to talk about that tied back to the value and the pain points for the customer. So this is a perfect use case for in that scenario. After the call is done, depending on the complexity of the opportunity, you can record a personalized walkthrough offline and then send them to the prospect or the AE asynchronously. So what that does is you don't have to book another call. It saves both of you some time. You're able to explain the use case in detail at your own time, at your own pace, and there's no one bugging you or trying to distract you from the actual value proposition. So highly recommend creating a technical deep dive videos for some of your customers. And again, try to see the engagement that you get from these kind of content as well. So with Vidyard in particular, you can actually track the analytics. So when you are sending these one-to-one emails to any of your customers, you can actually track who's seen that content and what percentage of the video they saw as well, which is incredible, because what that does is I can actually understand what piece of my content was really valuable, what piece of my content wasn't valuable, and you're able to improvise in the future and perhaps create a better video the next time for the same use case or a different use case.
The other place that I really use these technical deep dives is when you get, that unbalance on a call where you've got the one really technical person and then maybe a bunch of less technical people, and the technical person keeps sending you these curveballs, and it's very important obviously to answer their questions, but you don't want to be sucked into that vortex. It's great for me to be able to say, that's a great question. I'm going to make you a video after and talk in depth about exactly how this works just for them, or for them to take back to their team, or whatever that is, to just give you that flexibility on the call to be able to push stuff off much easier, right? Someone doesn't necessarily love getting the idea of getting sent a knowledge base article, but a lot of times when we send knowledge base articles, we'll actually record a personal video for them, just walking through the knowledge base article, and then also send the knowledge base article. So they have the choice there. If they want to just listen to me talk about it, even if it's at a high level, touch on the points that make the most sense to them, just makes it a little more interactive, but really can save you on the calls themselves. When you have that, whether it's a stump to chump kind of thing, or a person who actually has some good points that they want to dig into, but really is not aligned with the rest of the call, can really be a nice thing to have in your back pocket to be able to do that after.
Yeah, I've been using these a lot more lately as I'm getting more comfortable with creating a bit longer pieces of content. So in terms of video length, it'd be ideally 3 to 5 minutes. I think anything longer, personally, I've seen the prospect usually loses interest. So 3 to 5 minutes, it can be hard sometimes depending on the topic that you're trying to cover. But again, try to cut down on the fluff and just focus on the pain points and how your product in particular solves that pain point. So next up, we have the demo prep with AEs. So Joel and I actually leveraged this quite a lot. I'll give props to him. I think he was the one who pushed me, or at least introduced me to use it with my AEs. Because prior to that, I used to hop on the calls with my AEs and then go through the demo flow. And it just takes up half an hour because you are chit-chatting and you are just talking about things that could have been a quick video. So what I usually do these days before my demos is I create a demo flow first, and then I quickly walk them through the demo flow, highlighting what value propositions I'm going to discuss based on the pain points that I know for that particular customer. So usually I make a video 2 to 3 minutes. I don't go in depth talking about the features because I'm going to do that in the actual demo. During this video, I just highlight or talk about these are the things I'm going to highlight and tie it back to the pain points. I send it to my AE, and if he has any feedback, he can provide me feedback over Slack, or he can create any other piece of content if he wants to create. Again, it has helped me save literally hours in my weekly calendar, and highly recommend you leverage video to communicate with your AEs, because some of my AEs are actually in different time zones as well. So finding a time to connect can be challenging as well at times. So I really I found this has really helped me save a lot of time in my day-to-day. Joel, did you have anything else to add?
No, there was a question. There's a question from someone around how we use this. So generally how I would do it is, we have a demo request process. The AE would go in and demo. We're moving a little more over towards actually being on more discos, but currently not so much on that side. So we would get kind of that feedback from the AE. Here's what we talked about. Here's what their pain points are. We're going to go through, we're going to build out that demo. And then, as Ankur said, we're going to just take that, flip it back over to them, and they know what's coming. So it's not a surprise of, I'm going to show this feature, I'm going to maybe touch on this little piece there. But instead of those, routinely we were having 15-minute at minimum syncs, but with chatting, probably more like half an hour. And now I can build that demo. I can also build that demo at 11 o'clock at night, immediately record the video, send it over. And we're not worried about conflicting calendars or any of that kind of thing. So definitely speeds up that process a lot. If you have AEs who, give you last minute demos to do all that kind of thing, you can quickly shoot that off to them. Make sure that you're actually on the right page, because the notes that they sent you may not have been great, and has saved me a ton of headache, because there have been times where I put something in there and they're like, actually, no, I didn't mean that at all. We're talking about this kind of thing. So it's nice to just be able to be on the same page before you go into it without actually having to meet up.
So Christy has a question. I think she's probably asking the attendees, how many demos weekly does everyone average? So I think personally for me, it really varies. Again, we've been leveraging micro demos a lot more. So that's really helped me cut down the actual live demos that I do. And again, it's a matter of leveraging this content to save time on both sides. And that's why that was the intent of, again, running this entire workshop. All right, moving on, we have the solution recap video, and Joel can walk you through this.
Yeah, so this is much more of a later stage thing that we do. And what it really is to just give everybody on the same page. We all have had that issue where, we had the champion's completely on board, but their boss has skipped every demo because they couldn't make it and all these kinds of things. We really get to the end, we understand, but we now need final sign off, or we also need sign off from legal or infosec or any of those kind of people. This is really the idea of, at the end, when it's super hard to get that whole team onto one particular call, and it may not be that productive, just making an individual video. So for these would definitely be custom videos that we make. A lot of that other stuff we've talked about before, around micro demos, like those would be generic. We would make them once and then we would just keep sending them to people. We're not making them for every single time that comes along, but these are definitely much more custom. And what it gives us is something where we know we can give that to the champion, and the champion can share it, and we know that everyone's on the same page. I've been on lots of calls with, legal, and legal is asking these questions, and we have to stop them and say, okay, let's talk for a second about what we do, because what you think that we do is completely different than what we're actually talking about. And it just level sets that. These can also be really great for that sign off piece. So, the CEO of a smaller company needs to sign off on every purchase they do, whatever that may be. You're bringing all of that information that you've gathered from the discovery, from the demos, from all the follow-up calls into one piece. Here's exactly what we're going to be selling you. It's kind of like a final pitch. And then again, make it short and sweet. The higher up you go, the less time those people are going to have. But it's something that CEO can watch at 10 o'clock at night and then reply to the email back to the champion saying, yeah, that looks totally good. It looks like you covered everything that I think you needed to cover, and we're good to go. And you're not relying on what the champion's communicating or trying to write all that down, or sending over a 1 hour demo to that executive that's never going to watch. They're never going to watch the whole thing. So just a nice, short and sweet, wrap it all up in a bow, and send it over to them.
Yeah, just to add on to what Joel said, every demo is recorded, as you guys are aware, but we all know how many of the folks actually watch it after the demo is done. No one's got the time to go through an hour-long demo and then even find pieces that they think are going to add value. Even, I think the only people who probably would rewatch any recordings are for sales coaching, for the AEs. Their managers are watching that content to provide some feedback on where they could improve. But in the pre-sales world, I don't know many folks who actually watch recordings after the demo is done. This is a perfect replacement. I like to call it the mini demo, just like Mini Me and Austin Powers. You're pretty much shrinking all the content from the demo, highlighting the key points that you talked about, and again, try to get that deal across the finish line. And this is the perfect way to do that. And the last piece we have today that you can leverage video is a cross-functional video. So I leverage this a lot with our CSMs, our customer success managers, as well as our other departments. So again, I'm trying to maybe get a question answered, or perhaps I'm trying to explain something to our CSMs on the technical side of things. I can create a quick video going over the content, pretty similar to the demo prep call with the A's. You put in a quick video, 2 or 3 minutes, send it off, and then again, saves you a lot of time on both sides. We all work with cross-functional teams every day, especially as pre-sales at the center of the organization. So again, a really, really great way to leverage cross-functional videos. And I know we have some folks on the call today, some special attendees who are not in pre-sales, and they work perhaps maybe in telecom or some other industries. This is again a perfect way to explain maybe the architectural roadmap, maybe go over like a proposal that you're trying to showcase to some of the other teams, going over literally any piece of content that you think is going to be valuable, create a quick video on it, share it with the end user, and just you can go back and forth. Just saves you a lot of time.
The other place that we use this is around actually creating reusable content from those other teams that we actually share to the customer. So people always have questions around what does launch look like? What does implementation look like? Things like that. It can be very powerful to actually have those departments talk to that process rather than having it be us. And so those are videos that we can reuse over and over again. So having a launch manager go through, okay, here's what's going to happen. Here's what those first couple of weeks are going to look like, all that kind of thing. Or even, if you don't have a ton of those, having them actually introduce themselves. You're actually sending that across near the end of a deal. Hey, I'm so-and-so, I would be your launch manager. This is exactly what it's going to look like. So they can be more generic or they can be a little more custom, but it allows you to save those people from having to come into the calls. It can be very powerful to have those people come. Like definitely I've seen lots of times where having someone from launch on to talk about, migration services or this or that can be really powerful. But if there doesn't really need to be a conversation, it can also slow down the deal and make it that much harder to book and honestly take up their time from what they really should be doing. So having some of those reusable parts from other people in the organization, even someone from product or InfoSec, hey, here's what our InfoSec review, here's how we run our InfoSec reviews, all that kind of thing, and bringing all that in and sharing that out rather than just taking my word for it, right? People do treat us as a subject matter expert, but the next best thing to that is going to be having the actual subject matter expert from your organization be able to share directly, use all the right lingo, all the right things that those people want to see, and put a face to a name of who those people are can be incredibly powerful.
All right, perfect. So we have covered 5 use cases today. And I hope you guys got some value or some ideas from these use cases that you guys can leverage video to create some content in any of these for any of these use cases. So in terms of use cases for today's workshop, that's all we had. I know we had a lot of questions in the chat. We have answered most of them, but at this point, we'll give you guys 5 to 10 minutes to ask any questions in the chat. Or if you're brave enough to ask the question on Zoom as well, please feel free. We'd love to hear your feedback or any thoughts so far.
Yeah, and anything around pain points, something that we see as a good way of looking at this, right, is thinking of what are the pain points I have today where I don't have the time to deal with things. I can't scale this up what I'm doing. It's working okay today, but I know if I get more deals, I'm not going to be able to keep up with it. Or it's just a painful thing that you're having to repeat over and over and over again. Are there things that we didn't talk about that would be just pains you're having, and then we can help you figure out. We will have a Slack going also after where we can have conversations about any of these kinds of things. We'll talk about that in a second. But really just wanted, any pain you're having, is there a way to use video to help solve that? It's definitely not the be all end all of everything, but it can be powerful when used in the right places and can be incredibly scalable when used in the right ways.
Yeah, 100%. It's not supposed to replace any existing form of communication. It's a nice add-on to add to your repertoire and then just use it from there on. So while we're waiting for more questions, we have the last poll for today's workshop. So let's hear what kind of content will you create first after hearing all the use cases today.
Jason, hello. Came off of video. It's very funny. I was actually going to mention earlier, for a call about video, everyone has their video turned off. And also for a call with a whole bunch of SCs where we hate when everyone has their video turned off, we all have their video turned off too. I'm going to say I do it every single time I go to a webinar too. So I'm not calling you out for it, but it's always funny to me when it happens. So Jason, how's it going?
Good, thanks. I did have a question. You talked on a couple of the points about engagement, and I'm conscious that whenever we've used videos in the past, we've either been giving the customers the videos or giving them links to it. And I think we've overlooked the engagement piece in terms of understanding how they're using them, apart from saying, hey, was that useful? So I'm going to make a little bit of a leap here and assume part of what Vidyard does is tracks that interaction in terms of people clicking on the videos, etc. I'd not thought about it much before, but it strikes me as being very important to validate it's worth investing the time in it as much as anything. So what kind of things do you need from that? Like, apart from clicks, which obviously are useful, what else can you gather from that?
Yeah, so not to go into a sales pitch, but I'll explain what we do. There's other people that do variations of all this, but as a general thing, what you can get, so what we're able to get in our tool is, obviously we're sending someone to watch a video. We're going to know if they started it. In our case, we're going to know every second that they actually watched it. So we're going to know percentage, we're going to know number of seconds, and then we're even going to be able to see, did they watch a particular section more than once? And looking at that on a whole as well. So across 100 people watching the same video, what are the sections that stuck out? We actually had, I don't know the person because this was before I got here, but there's a story which is a little famous around here that we had a video where there was someone that came on that was really boring in the video, and you could actually see it in the stats. So you could see a chart kind of, where viewership would fall off, and then would actually pick back up after, because people would skip over this poor guy. So there definitely is a lot of power there in video. And I think it is actually one of those places where not only is it people like the video, it also can give you really great analytics that you can't get from a lot of other things. So when you send someone a long email and they don't read the whole email, you might, in some of these tools, you're going to know they opened the email, but you're not going to know, did they read every single part? People generally, if they're watching the video, are going to, stop if they're not watching it, right? They're not just going to kind of let it go. So you can get a lot of really good analytics from it around, are they actually paying attention? Is it being helpful? Is this video only getting 15% of the way viewed and then people are stopping? Like, obviously this is too long, it's not resonating, whatever that is. Definitely, I think around engagement, keeping it short and providing multiple, letting people do that binging like they like to do on Netflix is definitely great. I couldn't tell you the last time I went and watched like a whole 1 hour webinar, right? Like, I just don't have the time to do it. But I even do this on YouTube. When I look up a topic on YouTube, I will go and pick the shortest videos first before the longer ones. So I might go eventually watch the 15-minute video about something that I'm looking up, but I'm going to want to watch the 4-minute one first, just to see, like, to get that more condensed view. And so I think it's around giving people a choice. And then when it comes to engagement, it's even how you send that to them. So again, not to sales pitch, because lots of people do this, but in our tool, when we insert the video, we're inserting the thumbnail image of the video along with a link so that you can see that it's personalized. So you're not just, hey, go watch this video. You can see it's going to be me on the screen. You can do animated thumbnails, so you're actually waving at the person or whatever. I mean, some of it definitely gets a little more like stuff the AEs like to do, and they hold up whiteboards with people's names on it. But for us, I mean, it's just putting that face to a name. Even if we're sending the content over before we ever meet the person, we're warming them up a little bit. Here's who I am. So when you jump on that call, it's not the first time they've ever seen you, and things of that nature. So I think there are some of that stuff. When it comes to engagement, I think length is a big thing. And then I think really looking at and being able to look at those analytics around, being able to look at the analytics to see what's working, because you're not going to know until you try it.
I guess one follow-up question then is, do you know which individual has watched it as well, or is it anonymized?
So in our case, we would actually know to the individual level. Right. So that's going to depend on the tool you're using, obviously. But it is possible to know at the individual level, and that's definitely helpful in knowing, did the person you send it to watch it? Did they share it with other people? Who were those people that they shared it to? There's multiple ways you can kind of deal with all that. But you can start to see that flow through the organization and see how different people watch different parts of it. Definitely can be a really helpful thing to see.
Thank you.
I know Peter had a question. Peter, go ahead.
Thanks, Ankur. Yeah, well, this has obviously been like a slow project to get off the ground because I spoke with Joel about it a few months ago, but I'm working on launching micro demos within my company.
Awesome.
I have 2 target questions, like based on the group that I'm working with. I'd love to get you guys feedback on. The first is, I mean, I believe in the power of micro demos and saving time for SCs, but I think like to get more than just a group of people working on it, to get my whole company behind it, we need to sort of have some data around that. So, I mean, what's best practice in terms of like proving that I'm saving SC's time? Because that's, I think, like the first value that I need to justify.
Joel, I can take a stab at it and then you
Yeah.
can add on. So I'm actually currently leading the micro demo project at Vidyard as well. I'm the one who's pushing people to create more content and just assigning videos as well. And I 100% agree. It can be a tough go for some folks. They're like, I'm devoting my time. Why am I creating this content? So I think what's worked for me so far is I'm creating content myself. I'm sharing that with my AEs, and I get feedback from them in terms of what's working, what's not working. And I record all that feedback on my own. And then during our team calls, either I can share that feedback with the rest of the team, as well as I can get feedback from the clients as well. So we do have the relationship with our prospects where we do get feedback from them asking, hey, did you think this micro demo was helpful? Or did you think you want to hop on a real call to do an actual deep dive into the feature? So again, it's been a mixed bag so far from the prospects. Some of them have really liked the micro demos aspect, especially the emerging market reps, but obviously the enterprise and the mid-market deals, they still want to get on a call and talk to in person. For internal enablement, yeah, I will be the champion. If you are already leading the project, lead by charge, create as much content as you can. And again, get feedback from your AEs and try to showcase your wins and see what you have accomplished so far.
I like it. And then if I might, second follow-up question is there's a lot of apprehension from the team in terms of launching this project. They're like, man, like once this, hard charging sales manager knows that we can make videos, I mean, my God, they'll make us make videos for everything. And so there's this sentiment that we want to sort of like give them something, like
Right.
build enthusiasm around it, but not so much enthusiasm so that they're like, we need 1 million of these, because I can't sell that to my team.
Yeah, you'll be surprised by how valuable an SE's position is, especially for the technical deep dives. I can create 1,000 micro demo videos, but none of them are ever going to replace the human interaction that we have one-on-one. So I think
I'm not worried about getting replaced.
Yeah, but like
fact,
I think
even for tech calls, like I'd be fine with giving them a primer. But what I'm worried about is the sales managers just being like, 5 micro demos, we need 100 of these. Like, start cranking them out. And like, I love making a video, but I don't want to spend my whole day doing that.
Yeah, I think it's all about setting expectations. Jason said that on the chat as well. It's about rolling it out slowly. Even for us, our goal is to create 5 micro demos every month, and every SC creates 1 micro demo every month. And I don't think that's a huge ask. And again, it's a continuous process. You get the feedback from the team, especially the sales guys, see what they like, what they don't like, and trying to incorporate that back into how you create that content. And I'm sure Joel has some insights to share as well.
Yeah, I mean, on that part, I would say the thing that came to mind was the fight that we always have with our project manager or with our product managers, right? Where we want them to make everything under the sun too, and they're not going to. They're going to say, we have this much bandwidth. I think to Ankur's point, like if you set that expectation of, okay, we're going to do this at this pace. When you have ideas, bring it to us. That's awesome. But we're going to look at it very much like how a product manager does and say, okay, what is the key ones that we need to do first? And yeah, we'll take your idea. We may not get to it for 6 months, but we are going to be kind of working away at it and going from there. I think is a way to do it. I mean, honestly, it is one of those, like, it's a nice problem to have in some forms that it is working that well. But definitely something that I think you want to have a little bit of an expectation set going in of, this doesn't mean we're going to make something for every single person if that's not something that you're kind of ready to be doing.
Makes sense. Thanks for the feedback, guys.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right, so we are coming at the top of the hour, so we do have a small surprise for you guys. I know we had some really good interaction today. Absolutely loved it, how engaged you guys were. And again, thank you for taking the time today to hop on for the workshop. So we'll create a startup thread on the PreSales Collective Slack channel. If you guys already are part of that workspace, if you are, then perfect. Go to the Help Technology Collaboration channel and look up for that thread. If you're not, highly recommend you join the Slack workspace for the PreSales Collective. It's an incredible space to just share ideas and get these conversations going. So we'll give you guys until end of this week, Sunday, 12 p.m. And if you post a video based on the learnings that you have from today's workshop and what you'd particularly like to solve in your organization, we are giving away a free Vidyard Pro license for 30 days. So you can try it out. Again, the Vidyard free license works perfectly fine to create content as well as share content. The Pro has a bit more depth into the analytics part. Jason, I'm sure you love that. When you are trying to gauge that engagement, you'll be able to see the tangible results in any of the content that you create. So we look forward to it. And again, thanks a lot for taking the time today. And I just want to say, PreSales Collective has been an incredible add-on to my life, and I'm sure you guys can attest to that as well. So let's keep this community going. And thank you for being a part of this workshop and this whole collective.
Yeah, and I just want to echo that. Thank you everyone for being here. Unlike Ankur, I don't have a cool shirt to wear today. So that kind of, I wasn't part of demo day. So no one sent me the memo that we were going to wear demo day shirts. And yeah, like definitely hit us up on Slack, hit us up on LinkedIn. I have an OKR this month or this quarter to post a lot more on LinkedIn, specifically around all things SE and video. So follow me on LinkedIn and you can call me out if I'm not posting enough content, because everyone will be calling me out because it's in my OKR. So yeah, hit us up on LinkedIn, hit us up on Slack, and we would love to get you over some of those licenses just for you to try. If you have a tool you use today, great. But if you don't have anything, free tools there. And definitely want to get you be able to get that free pro license for a while, just so you can really try it and see what happens, and then maybe make the use case for doing something more after that and actually start paying somebody some money for a tool. So,
all right, guys, enjoy the rest of your week, and thanks a lot for your time today.
Thank you, everyone. See you next time.